Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. A little bit more energy. Good afternoon, everybody. Fantastic. I have a good news for you. We only have 1 hour left before you can be let go out in this wonderful sunny weather. The bad news is that half of that time you'll have to spend with me, listening to me. And what I'm going to talk about is the customer experience imperative. Why is customer experience important? As I've been introduced, my name is Vijay Gupta. This clicker is not working. Let me quickly see what the problem is. Fantastic. My name is Vijay Gupta. I look after product and industry marketing for Adobe Marketing Cloud across Europe. And when I talk about the customer experience imperative, I'm going to talk about specifically two things today, given the time that we have together. Number one is, why is customer experience important? I think we all inherently understand it is important. I want to put a little bit more context and some data around that. And second, how do you deliver really memorable customer experiences? What does it take? What are we seeing our customers do when we engage with them? Okay. Now, before we jump into that, I just want to take a few moments to quickly remind all of us of the magical world of experiences that we live in today. And for that, we'll queue up a video. There's no sound. Now, isn't it magical when you're able to open the door of a hotel room using your watch? That experience would have been thought impossible a few years back. Today, it is absolutely possible. There are clients of Adobe who are rolling that experience out, who are giving that experience to their customers. And what I want to do over the next 20 minutes or so, talk about how our clients are delivering great customer experiences to their customers and put some context around that. And to be able to do that, first of all, I want to ask a quick question to all of you. How many of you have heard of Canadian Tire? Fantastic. We have a few folks here. Some of them are from Adobe, so that doesn't count. But Canadian Tire, as the name indicates, it is a Canadian company. But it doesn't only sell tires. And the reason I chose this example is because I believe that innovation and good things in commerce and retail knows no national boundaries. So let's try and see if we can figure out how good this company is doing in their market. Now, for those of you who know Canadian Tire, it's around a $12.5 billion company, predominantly in Canada, pretty much in Canada. Their USP is that nobody in Canada is more than 15 minutes away from one of their stores. They have around 58,000 employees, so not a small business, pretty big business. And as I said, they don't only sell tires, they sell a lot of other things, including apparel, including automotive ancillaries. And of course, they also have a loyalty program, which is called Canadian Tire Money. Now, when this company started to think about transforming its commerce and taking it online, and remember, this is a company that has always had stores. They started in the way in which most of us do. They took their product catalog online. So that is what you see on this side of the screen. If you go to their website and search for a barbecue, what they were giving to you is a list of all the barbecues that they had. Now, as a customer, now it's your problem to figure out which one you need and which one is the most appropriate for you. It is just a product catalog coming out. Yes, it's in an electronic format. And these were things that were enabled by initial commerce technologies that all of us have been aware of. Now, as they started to think about that, not from the perspective of what they wanted to do but instead from the perspective of what their customers wanted. They realized that what their customers want is not to get a set of barbecues that they can buy. Their customers actually want to buy a barbecue because they want to get their friends and family at home. They want to entertain them. They want to cook them a good meal. And if that's the objective with which a customer is coming to a touch point, like a website, why don't we start from there? So they moved from the traditional e-shop paradigm and started to look at what's now absolutely known as experience-driven commerce. So they started to think about what is it the customer wants. They want to know more about how they can entertain their guests. They want to know more about how they can cook great meals. What do they need to cook great meals? And yes, incidentally, apart from all those good things that you need to cook a great meal, you also need a great barbecue. So the commerce was built into the process of selecting what the customer wanted to do. And this was amazing because they started to give them great results from their online investment. But they just did not end there, because remember, this is a company that grew with stores. So what they did was they started to take that experience into the store. Now, one of the things that was happening in their store was that if you look at, for example, if you want to buy a windscreen wiper for your car, what you had to do was you would go to the store, look at a paper catalog, figure out based on your car model which model fits your car, and then you have to go to the aisle, figure out where that wiper is kept, take that, go to the checkout counter, pay for it, go home, search for the instruction manual to install it, etc., etc. Very long process. A lot of points of failure here, because one of the things they realized was in all the paper catalogs that they had put in the stores, if somebody had taken out one of the specific pages, then the customer was lost for information. They had to wait for a store associate. So they did a very simple thing. First of all, they turned all their catalogs to electronic catalogs. Very simple. You can now go into a store, type in the model of your car, it can start to tell what product will fit if it's a windscreen wiper. But they did not end there. They took it one level further. They created an app, a mobile app, like many retailers do. In that, you could actually put in the model of your car and it will tell you which wipers are relevant for you. You can do that while you are at home, while you are driving towards, hopefully not driving, but while you are traveling towards the store. And once you have done that and you have found which wipers are relevant to you, when you walk into the store, in the wiper aisle, the wipers that are relevant for your car actually light up. So what they have been able to do is not only just use their store to fulfill, they have actually looked at the customer journey end to end to figure out what was the problem that they were trying to solve. The problem was to easily get me as a customer access to the right wiper, to the right product. And then they use technology to drive that particular decision, particular action. And this is fascinating, because when you start to think about it from the customer's point of view, you start to see where the investments need to go. You start to see how online and offline are not two different things. They are a point of connection in a customer journey. They are a point of connection to solve a customer problem. And we are seeing emergence of this not only in Canadian Tire, but across the world in many, many stores. I call this the revenge of the store. And the reason I do that is because when we think about commerce, when we think about digital, we all focus on things that are online. We forget that stores can be a source of massive competitive advantage. And they can be a source of massive amount of consumer behavior data. We didn't have technologies to do that so far, but now we all have it. It's only a matter of starting to scale these experiments that are happening all over the world. And to give the customer the experience that they deserve, that the brand promises. Now, continuing this particular thought, some of the things that we are starting to notice in terms of store transformation are stats like this. As we think about digitizing the stores, there are predictions from a variety of analysts that you will see up to 20% uplift in conversion as you digitize the stores. There are also data from companies like IDC that within 2 years, brick and mortar stores will actually provide retailers the ability to convert 50% more casual shoppers into loyal customers. So what's happening here, and the reason I'm emphasizing on this is because I know some of you have stores and are interested in this. And why I'm emphasizing this is because when we think about digital, when we think about transformation in a digital world, it's not all online. It is the combination of what you can do in the best places that you can do, and stores and store transformation and digitization of stores is one of the fantastic places to do this. In case of Canadian Tires, the stores that they digitized, they saw more than 50% increase in store traffic. But not only that, one of the key decisions that they had to go through was, what happens if I digitize one store and leave the other stores around that non-digital? Will it cannibalize my sales in the other stores? What they found out was that was not the case. The stores that were digital, yes, had a 50% uplift. The nearby stores had a 20% uplift. So once the customers experienced something in the digital store, they actually came back to the non-digital store, which was closer to their home. So digital stores became the flagship, whereas the other stores started to become, get the aura, or they started to get the benefit from the halo effect. So that's one thing that I wanted to quickly talk about. The second thing is that as Adobe, we do a lot of research with our customers and marketers. Now this is a research we did at the end of last year. It's been published last month. And we asked around 7,000 marketers, and this is not just commerce executives, not just retailers, this is across industries. We asked them what's the most exciting opportunity for them in 2016. And I've only taken out the top 3. First one was customer experience. Second one was focusing on compelling content. And the third one was data. How do I use data to get better? Now, what I'm going to do over the next few slides is I'm going to talk a little bit more about content. Why? Because I think there's a lot that has been said about data. I think companies are starting to build the capabilities to make sense of data, whether they do that using people or whether they do that using software, whether a combination of the two. I think there's a lot of press around what data can do. There is very little focus on content. So I want to spend some time on why is content equally important. Okay. Now this is what the research says, and this research actually cuts across not only B2C but also B2B. Again, when we talk about e-commerce, we get very focused on the B2C side of things, but the reality is that by 2020 the B2B e-commerce market will be twice as big as the B2C e-commerce market. And when we surveyed B2B marketers and asked them what was important for them over the next 5 years, the answers were consistent with what the B2C marketers said. It might be difficult to read because of the font size, but number 1, customer experience. Number 2, personalization, which is essentially dependent on driving the right content, right information at the right time. And number 3, again, data. Very consistent. So it doesn't matter whether you are a B2B business or a B2C business. The priorities that we are seeing across the world and across marketers are very, very similar. Very, very similar. Now, continuing this thought, why is this, when it comes to talking about customer experience and why is this important, and when you focus on this, how do you focus on the importance of this? The reality is that when you go through a transformation like this, you have to look at every possible touch point that you have with your customer. What you have on screen is typically how we tend to spend our day. We tend to use a variety of devices. We tend to consume different types of content as we engage with brand, as we engage with information. But more importantly, the other thing that happens is within this journey that we take within a day, each one of us chooses to spend time on a specific channel to consume a specific type of content. And as a marketer, it's important to know because that's where your customers are. To give you an example, Snapchat, 100 million users worldwide. They deliver 7 billion video views every day. 7 billion. Now contrast that with Facebook, 1.5 billion users worldwide. So 15 times the size of Snapchat. And they deliver 8 billion video views every day. Now, if you start to think about what that information or piece of data is starting to tell us is when it comes to consuming video, for a specific type of demographic, it starts to tell you the choice of the channel. And as we think about, as marketers, as commerce executives, as business executives, how do we drive that customer experience transformation across each one of those channels? It's also important for us to double click on that and go one level deeper. So if it is a smartphone or a mobile experience and I want to do video, which channel do I choose? Do I put it on Facebook? Do I do Snapchat? Data is starting to give us some of that answer. But it's critical to start to think about this in this manner as we go through this transformation exercise. Now, within this, mobile by itself is becoming more and more important. We all know that it's my behavior, your behavior of people all around us. But within Adobe, we have a team of very smart data scientists. They sit within a team called Adobe Digital Index. And what they do is they analyze about 1 trillion transactions every year to start to predict a variety of trends, including sales during the holiday season, which is very important for retailers. Now, what we found is that this year, around 50% of the shopping visits came from mobile devices. And around 28% of the sales happened on mobile. And mobile is smartphone and tablets. The other thing that I found interesting, and if you have not read this report, please search for Adobe Digital Index and you will get to see this report. They do a fantastic set of stats which they refresh regularly. But what I found interesting in this report is it's not only that 50% of the visit came from mobile devices, but as the time for buying the gift came closer, the number of visits from mobile devices increased. So as the time for Christmas came closer, there was a distinct shift of people realizing something's not right, they haven't finished what they needed to do, and immediately going onto a mobile device to try and do that. At that point in time, if your experience is not mobile optimized, you start to lose that customer's attention, that customer's interest, that urgency that the customer has to resolve that issue of being able to buy the gift before Christmas. So that's one thing in terms of why mobile is important. The other thing is, again, going back to IDC, IDC's projection is that within 2 years, 85% of the consumers will expect frictionless commerce. And I think today, some of the speakers today mentioned about this. But this is now an expectation. Don't get in the way of me and what I want to buy. Make it as easy as possible. And companies who invest in this, the projection is that they will see around 200 basis points, relatively more increase compared to others who won't. And I don't have to tell you guys, all of you are experienced executives, that 200 basis points in your industry is very, very important. It's very, very big. So mobile, critically important as we think about delivering experiences and content. And the thing is that irrespective of research that you look at, users, consumers, customers tend to use a variety of devices, 6 in this case. They tend to look at, on an average, 12 pieces of content before making a decision. 4 out of 10 actually start their work on one screen and end it on the other. And 3 out of 10 actually do double screening. They might be sitting in front of TV while they have a smartphone. What does that mean? Why is this important? This is important because this places a lot of pressure on marketers to create content which is relevant for the channel, for the audience, for the thing that the customer is going to do at that point in time. Are they just fishing for information? Are they making themselves aware? Do they want to complete a transaction? And these are not easy decisions. And we see marketers getting pressurized by this over and over and over again. So on one hand, you have the data deluge. On the other hand, you have the requirement to create more content, relevant content, at a pace that your organization has never done before. So life is not easy. And the reason I'm emphasizing on content here is that when you think about getting to that holy grail of personalization, companies start first with data. I want to get the data about the customer. But very soon they realize that once they have got a semblance of control over the data, it's the content that's becoming the bottleneck. And the content is driven by the change in the behavior of the consumer. So you are actually running after the customer or the consumer as they change their behavior of consuming the content. And it's this content velocity that is creating a massive amount of challenge for retailers, for commerce executives. for businesses worldwide. The other thing is that when you think about not being able to deliver the right content at the right time, it not only has an impact on your commerce KPIs, in the long term, it has a massive impact on your brand and on your brand image. In fact, companies that we are working with and that we engage with, they tell us one thing consistently, that the products and services that they are selling are actually becoming commodities. And the experience that they deliver is the key differentiator. So going back to Canadian Tire example, a wiper blade is a commodity. You can buy it from anywhere else. But being able to buy it in the way in which they have envisaged and they have implemented, that's the experience that keeps bringing customers back. In fact, leading marketers that we work with go one step ahead. They start to say that brand in today's world is not what you are telling your customers what it is. It's what your customers are telling to each other what it is. And your brand is the sum total of experiences that you deliver across all channels. Online, offline, social, mobile, website, doesn't matter. And to deliver those experiences, you need great data, you need great content. But you have to think about the fact that if you miss one of those, it starts to impact the experience, and in the long term, it has a negative impact on the brand. Because brand is the sum total of experiences. And essentially, experience is the new brand. That's what we are hearing from a lot of marketing leaders. And customer journey is the new product. Now, some of you will say, oh, this has been there for a while. Yes, but we haven't had the ability to implement it the way we can do it today for a while. In this digital world, the change that we are seeing in the consumer behavior, the progress that we are seeing in technology is starting to make this a reality where we can deliver consistent, continuous experiences across channel, which are consistent with our brand ethos, and also deliver the customer journey as the product. So if you look at the Canadian Tire example again, the product is not the wiper. Product is how they were able to encourage me to go and find that wiper and buy it. That entire customer journey was the product. When you start to think about your product that way, you will realize the kind of transformation that needs to happen inside the company to deliver this. Because this transformation, this is a very simple jump in thinking, but it has a very deep effect on how you look at the transformation. Because when you think about the customer journey as the product, the transformation goes way, way, way beyond marketing and IT. It starts to touch parts of your organization that you have never touched before. And that's one of the things that you will realize most likely in your company or companies that you've heard about, how this digital transformation paradigm is permeating across all the functions. And how marketing is being given the charge to bring all the functions together to deliver that brand experience, because marketing is traditionally thought of as the brand custodian. Now, how do you deliver this? That's the problem statement, and that's the importance of it. How do you deliver this? Marketers who do this well do four things very, very well. Number one, they listen, which means they have the ability to collect data from a variety of sources and put it together, including data from your commerce system, including data from third party, including your own data. Second is they use software to predict, which means in this digital world, you can have all the hypotheses that you want, but you can also use the power of software to predict what will resonate with what kind of customer or what segment of customer. And that's critical because that prediction ability using software gives you scale to test and scale to learn. So you are predicting what experience somebody needs, what is it that somebody is after, are they looking for a product, are they going to buy and convert. The third thing is being able to assemble the right pieces of content together. And by content, I don't mean only the content that comes from your experience management system. I mean things that come from your commerce system, your product information, your inventory information, any other business rule that you have, like you want to promote one product after another, over another. And it's about assembling all of these together and then being able to deliver this across the channels that you decide. And you can see that we have made a very clear delineation between being able to assemble things together and being able to deliver it across channels. Because the moment you start to mix that up, the moment you start to connect the two up, you start to make things more complicated. Now, many of you would say, Vijay, we are already doing this. And that's right. All good marketers do this. Great marketers do this within 300 milliseconds, each and every step. And that's what is differentiating as we look at what's happening in the world of marketing between companies who are doing very well in delivering customer experiences versus companies that are struggling. These are 4 critical steps, but you have to get this done at the millisecond of the interaction. And typically it's 300 milliseconds is what our research is showing. So this is what we see great marketers do over and over and over and over again as they deliver great and memorable experiences. Now, at Adobe, we enable those great marketers to do that through a combination of 3 of our solutions. In the marketing solution, which is Marketing Cloud, the creative solution, which is the Creative Cloud, and our document solution, which is Document Cloud, which is essentially PDF on steroids. But fundamentally, we are able to bring the creative aspect and the science aspect together to enable companies, to enable businesses to deliver those memorable experiences. And we're not talking about an amateurish project here. This is being able to do this at scale globally. So that's the kind of volume of transactions that these platforms handle. And we are talking about 40 trillion transactions every year. We are talking about billions of email. We are talking about trillions of creative assets being delivered at the right time within the right device, so that the experience that your brand promises does not get broken and it does not have an impact on your brand as well as on your commerce capabilities. Now, I would like to start to wrap this up. I think Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, got this absolutely right. In all this confusion and all the changes that are happening around us, the most important thing is the customer. And the customer can fire anyone in any company by just choosing to spend their money somewhere else. So it's very, very critical to remember as we talk about customer experience, we talk about content, data, the ability to deliver that experience. I think it's critical not to lose the focus on the customer. And to be able to do that, to sum it up, some of the things that we went through right now is number 1, customer experience is one of the topmost priorities for commerce executives as well as other marketing executives around the world. Number 2 is when you think about customer experience, the way companies are approaching this is by thinking about experience as the new brand. Anything you deliver in terms of experience, your brand is the sum total of experiences that you deliver. And if it gets broken at one place, it has a negative impact on brand as well as on commerce. And finally, to be able to deliver this at scale, you have to think about bringing the data and the content together and combining your commerce systems with experience management systems so that you're able to do this on an ongoing basis across channels. So with that, I'm going to end. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, happy to take that.
Thanks, Vijay.